Hello there. So I've been having multiple beginners try to where I've been trying to tell them which parts of the tutorial are very important to look at and which parts are not so important to look at, and also how to look at the tutorial itself. And most of the time, regarding mission mode, I point them towards this LK stream, just like 3 hours long. And I think it's better if I manage to do it in a little bit shorter time. So I'm gonna go through the tutorial and through mission mode and highlight why I think everything is important, talk about the text and stuff. So of course, yeah, we're gonna start with just the actual tutorial, because there are some sneaky things hidden. So this isn't that important, but so we have, of course, we have forward walk, forward dash, forward air dash. Very simple. Now they talk about back walk, back stab, backwards jump. Just trying to cover as many movement options as possible. Here we have both jump, double jump, high jump, all the options here. Take note that for new players, Sol has like the basic movement. So he can double jump, but if you double jump you cannot air dash anymore. You can air dash, but if you air dash you cannot double jump anymore. And if you high jump, you cannot double jump, but you can still air dash. That's kind of the movement. You have forward walk, backwards walk, back dash. Forward dash, which is holdable for most characters. The back dash is this little hop. It's not a run back. And yeah, those are the options, of course. So this is just a matter of dashing. This doesn't matter that much. Ah, it's so let's see. Alright. I have it set to just show these the button forms like this. So right now I just want you to show you that you can attack them. And it teaches you, kind of trying to teach you the muscle memory of where each button is at. So you have to use each button correctly. And watch out, first the dust one. So over here they're trying to teach you to think quickly about which button you want to press. 3 dust. And of course, you have to be able to do them in multiple positions. You have to know your attack angles. So of course, when they're low, most of the time you're going to be using crouching attacks, because a lot of crouching attacks hit low to the ground. Of course, not all of them do. As you can see, Sol's 2H is an uppercut. Aerial attacks as well. However, if something, well, I'm gonna do that later. If something hits here, sometimes you have to jump, and sometimes you can be grounded if it hits like in the 3rd spot. Oops. Alright, it doesn't show, but I meant if a K appeared in the 3rd spot, you can do 5K, because it's an anti-air. So congratulations, blah blah blah. At mid-ranges, slash and heavy slash are more effective, whereas at close ranges, P and K are more recommended. This is a a rule of thumb, this doesn't hold for every character, but for Soul it's definitely the case. If you're at longer ranges, you have far slash and 5H, which have a lot of range. And P and K, both standing and crouching, are very fast. Time to learn about the basics of combos. So here we have the Gatlings. And for Soul we just use the Magic series, which is weak to strong. The trick is to begin the next attack just as your previous one is about to hit the opponent. And that is what we call hit stop. You kind of freeze in place when you hit the opponent, and you Gatling into the next attack. So I'm gonna show you what it looks like first. That's how it's supposed to look like, and this is what you don't want. You don't want this to happen. As you can see, the previous time I let all of my attacks recover, but you don't want the recovery. You want to see all of the next attacks immediately, and there's a rhythm to this, and this rhythm is just something you gotta try out. So of course, here we have another Gatling. This is 5k 2D, and here's jumping S, jumping A, which looks like this. We're gonna do it again. This is just a Gatling, that's all. Then we have 5k jump cancel jumping P. So we have the instructions on the right, and it should look like this. And a jumping P can be cancelled into a jumping S. And then we're gonna do it with jump SH again. 5k jumping P. 5k jump P jump S. Messed it up, that's fine. That's what it's supposed to look like. So over here we have a mid-air jump cancel, which means you have to do a jumping S, and over there you have cancel options into jumping D or specials, but those are not going to work. We want another jumping S. So what we do is, as soon as the jumping S hits, you tap forward again, and then you do another jumping S. It's kind of annoying. When I was new, this took me a lot of practice, but that's totally fine. It should look like that. So this is what we call a jump. There are two types of jump cancels. The first one I start here, which is the ground to air jump cancel, and then there's the mid-air jump cancel. And as you can see, the third time they kind of surprise you by putting an extra jump H up there. But this is actually a pretty realistic Soul combo. And now it's just about the number of hits. You can also just mash P if you want to. It doesn't really matter, but the idea is that you use the Magic series like this. We recommend simpler combos at first, and you can experiment with advanced combos later. Well, depending on your character, I recommend you go to your character's Discord and ask for which combos are meant for beginners and which aren't. Now we're gonna start about blocking. And I thought there was a very sneaky message at the end of this one. This right here. Standing block prevents attacks while on the ground or from the air, but it does not block low attacks. Crouching block will prevent attacks from the ground except overhead attacks. Aerial block will prevent other attacks from the air, but not attacks from the ground. So basically what it means is, if your opponent is in the air, you have to stand block, because you will get hit if you crouch. If your opponent is on the ground, it is best to crouch block. So you hold down back, and the moment that they do an overhead attack, which is a very limited amount of attacks, most characters only have like 2 grounded overheads, then you have to react to the move and stand. Or in some cases you have to guess and stand. So the general idea is, if the opponent is grounded, always block low unless you react or expect an overhead. And if the opponent is in the air, you always stand block, because they don't have any lows in the air. And the other important part is that in the air you can block air-to-air attacks or projectiles, but you cannot block anti-airs. There's a way to block anti-airs, and we're gonna come back to that in mission mode. So now we're gonna do some quick blocking practice. So this guy is in the air, I stand block him. This guy is on the... oh, that was an overhead attack. So this guy is on the ground, but he jumps up, which is an example of an overhead. Again. But this guy, I don't know, he's in the air or something. This guy is on the ground. So it just depends on where they're standing, if you ask me. You just gotta get used to the idea of crouch blocking, stand blocking, depending on where the opponent is on the screen. So here they kind of repeat my point. A simple rule to keep in mind. Stand block if the opponent is standing, block or crouch if the opponent is airborne, block or stand. But it's a little bit less detailed. So for now they're gonna teach you. We're gonna go specifically into red Roman cancels because they're the easier one to use. And we're gonna use the very simplest way to do it, which is just extending a combo. You can do the magic series and then you can dash up and do it again, because the Roman cancel extends the hit stun. And I'll just do this. Take note that most of the combos you do on these guys are not real combos. Like I just did like close slash. Like this is normally not a combo. These guys have longer hit stun than actual characters. Which is just for the purpose of the tutorial. Like that would have dropped in a match. Same for this. So yeah, basically it just says you can extend combos. It's not always, it's usually not really worth it to extend combos unless you have like specific hits. But it is definitely one of the easiest ways to get used to Roman cancels. Now we're gonna combine everything. Very simple. I always fuck this up, so I'm just gonna do it calmly. So bad at popping these balloons. This is like one hidden thing. If you get hit by the fire, they teach you the air recovery by pressing a button. I recommend mashing. No. Mashing is better. Shit. Over here you have to try this. It's pretty important part of the game. It's the muscle memory of each button. It will come naturally over time, even if you have trouble doing this. Damn it. Come on. Whoops. That's the overhead attack again. Very good combo. Ow. Alright, and that's the tutorial. And then if you want to fight Jacko, you just go in instant kill mode. Very good tutorial. Alright, time for mission 1. First I'm going to be showing all of the text. It's going to open the tip too, so simply mashing buttons blindly will not give you the win. Attacks are meaningless if they do not reach their intended target. First can learn to approach your opponent. So basically it's teaching you to dash in, get to a close range, and then start attacking. It says right here, close S is generally a good starter for big damage combos. It's also very strong on block too, because you have a lot of cancel options after it. You note that the variation for close range long range S is available only when your character is standing. This is called a proximity normal, which means that you have a standing S at close range, which only comes out if you're close enough, and a standing S at farther range, which comes out if you are outside of that close range. And it's only on standing S. So basically we are Soul, and we're gonna run into Kai, and we're gonna do like a very simple close slash far slash. Yeah, like that's all we need to do. Take note that Soul does not have a 6S normal, so you can just keep holding forward. Kai was just charging a projectile there in neutral, which allowed us to just dash in. So right here, mission number 2, they say mission number 1 is useless. No opponent would ever let it do that. Like, no opponent would ever let you do that. It's way better to actually poke them. So here, I'm just gonna show the text. You can read it yourself in more detail. I recommend reading most of the text. So what it teaches you here is that people do not allow you to just dash in like that, and it's better to actually use your far range normals for stuff like this. This is like a more realistic situation. In the first one, the Kai did the projectile really bad. He honestly just completely fucked up. So alright, sorry, I had to deal with something real quick. So, if an opponent is approaching you, you can press a button to stop them from moving, which is a way to space control. So you have Kai running at you, then fuck it up. Take note, you don't have to pass every mission with like an S rank or something. It's more important that you understand the concept that I'm explaining here. So now we're gonna go run into dash feinting, which is a way to. So in mission 3 here, we just controlled space because we didn't want our opponent to dash into us. But we can stop this behavior by faking going into that range, stopping right in front of the range of their poke, watching their attack whiff, and then dashing in. I'm using an advanced technique to stop dashing. It's called E.brake. You can also just stop running if you time it right. So it says right here in the hint, you may also use faultless defense, which is what I was using. Anyway, it's just about the concept of making the opponent throw out a poke because you were threatening to dash in, like you were in number 2, and then instead not dashing in, making the folk whiff, and abusing their recovery to hit them. So here we have one of the most important parts of any fighting game, which is the anti-air. When someone jumps at you or air dashes at you, you need to be able to anti-air them. So most characters have, according to this mission, have a 6B anti-air. That is true. But there are some exceptions, like May's 6B isn't really an anti-air, and Sol uses 5K mostly as an anti-air, so you can't always rely on the universal 6B, especially like Elfeld. Her 6B is not an anti-air at all. She uses close slash. And 6B is not the only anti-air you have. If 6B doesn't work, you might have to try something else. And if you don't know what to use, just go into your character Discord and be like, oh, I'm trying to anti-air this character or this move. 6B isn't working. What am I supposed to use? And they will give you an idea of what moves are better. In this case, we are using Kai, and Kai has a very strong 6B, so you can very simply just use the 6Bs as soon as someone jumps into you. Even if this is Chip's doing his jump D, which is pretty hard to anti-air. I'm a Baiken main, and Baiken 6B cannot reliably anti-air Chip's jump D, but Kai's can. They can do a short combo after if you like it. Oops. Anyway, this is just to give you an idea. So because of the way hitboxes work in Guilty Gear, I'm just going to show that next for a bit. Because of the way hitboxes work in Guilty Gear, anti-airs do not have air move in bone or something special. What they actually have is your hurt box on the top of your opponent completely disappears. So basically, you cannot, the upper part of your body just cannot be hit. And we call this upper body invulnerability. So in general, you think, alright, so you can hit opponents out of the air. But what you can also do is hit pokes that don't hit very low. Basically, you can do this. Hang on. Oh, I suck at this. As you can see here, you can just counter poke. We call this counter poking. This is pretty matchup specific, but it is a very important concept to know about. Alright, air to air. So in air to air, you kind of just, if you see your opponent is in the air, you can try to meet them with an anti-air, with an air to air. So in this case, we're going to be dashing at fast, and it's going to be doing his air projectile. We're going to interrupt him. Do a short combo if you want to. You can also just do the bare minimum. It's a very simple concept, just meeting your opponent in the air and doing a string, preferably 2-3 buttons, so you can react to hit or block. We're gonna come back to hit confirming in a bit. Never mind. We're gonna come back to actual hit confirming right now. So once you hit your opponent, you want to know if they hit or block, because if you hit them, you can do a combo. But if they block, you might have to do something else. There's a lot of text on this one. So the idea is that we do multiple hits and then combo, and then if we see it hit, we're gonna spend our meter on a super. So just Kai is also a very simple character, just like Sol. You can just do the magic series. So I like doing 5k close slash 5h, and then after the 5h you can already do the double quarter circle forward, and then all you have to do is if it hits you press P, and if it's blocked you don't press anything. So as you can see there, I just did it there. I did a Gatling, I did the double quarter circle, but I didn't press the punch button because he blocked it. That's all you have to do in this mission. So right now I'm doing it in the easiest way possible. It's like a 3-button hit confirm and I'm doing the motion. But you can also do it with like 2 buttons, or if you're really good you can maybe do it with 1 button. And you don't always have to do the motion like right now. It just depends on your reactions, your habits. You have to practice this with your own character, and with certain strings. But one thing I want to go over is that in a fighting game, if you want to poke with like, let's say I want to poke with a 5k. If I want to poke with a 5k, I'm never just going to press 5k, react that I'm hitting or blocking, and then fucking do an entire combo or block string. No, I'm going to press multiple buttons. So if I want to hit confirm, I press 5k 5s, right? So the concept behind that is if the 5k whiffs, only the 5k comes out. So as you can see, I press them in quick succession. If it is blocked or hits, the second button comes out and I actually have time to react and see. That's a concept that many beginners miss in a game like this, is you always have to press multiple buttons. Of course, the same holds for anti-air confirms. You can either do like 6 feet close slash. As you can see, Soul just blocked it there. I can't time it. So the idea is you do the same thing here. You do multiple buttons. You can either do ground to air. So right here I'm doing 6 feet 2H. Doing a short combo after, I have to confirm into air super fast. Oh, of course it missed. Anyway, I'm doing either 6 feet 2H, which is a ground to air string, but you can also do a air to air string. And the idea is, just like in the air to air mission, I do jump KS, so I dial in both buttons. And if it is blocked, I can confirm this, I can see it. If I did just jump K, I would not be able to react. If I do both buttons, it works. And I only do this little combo on hit. So ideally, if they block it, you do a complete block string, taking them to the ground. See he blocks. Oh, I need to... So ideally you take them to the ground. You take them to the ground simply by just keeping them in blocks, then by just doing attacks over and over. Anyway, the most important part is to do multiple buttons. Just dial them in. And learn how, and just hit confirm. So here we're going to do dash and grab. Here's the text, if anyone wants to read. It just means if the opponent is... If you don't think the opponent is going to press a button, like you're going to dash in and you think they're going to block, you can sometimes just dash in and throw them. I suck at this. This mission is pretty fucking strict. Anyway, you can do it in 2 ways. You can either dash in, stop running. You cannot throw while running, just saying. And you cannot throw while running because it would be ridiculously overpowered if you could, because throws in this game are 1 frame. Right? Might have to fucking go back into what a throw does. Basically you press 4 or 6H and you throw them, and it's literally instant. You can throw people out of attacks, it's ridiculously fast. And because of that there are a couple of restrictions on it. You cannot throw people in jump startup. You cannot throw people right after blocking. You have 5 frames of throw invulnerability after blocking. And you have 7 frames of throw invulnerability after waking up. So yeah, you cannot throw while running. And I think that's it. You have to stand, so it has to be 4 or 6 edge. When I was forward throwing him, you saw me pressing 2 buttons. You see that on the top right here. That is called throw option select. And it's pretty important. Because what I do is, if I were to miss the throw, let's say I was still running, I get close slash instead. Because if you were to not OS it, you get 6H, which as you can see is a very slow normal. Has a lot of startup, you can see wind up, you can almost react to it. But you cannot react to close slash. Close slash is just that much faster. And then you cannot option select a back throw because you will get FD. You will get this. You cannot do that. You cannot. If you want a back throw, you have to do 4H. So back throws are inherently riskier than forward throws, which is one thing. And then there's one more thing about this mission. What you saw me do is dash, let the dash recover a bit. What the fuck? It feels so unnatural. Jesus Christ. You let the dash recover a little bit, and then I throw. But you can also use FD brake there. This way you can keep dashing for longer. It's a little tough, but you can keep dashing for longer. Theoretically you can make your throws faster and less telegraphed. Or I guess they're about the same speed, but one is a little bit less telegraphed. It depends on your preference. I like just stopping the dash and just throwing like that. I don't have E.brake. So one of the most common ways to open people up is a tick throw. So I'm going to show the text on screen if you want to read. The idea behind the tick throw is that you do a dashing and you do a button that is plus on block. In this case we're going to do crouching punch. And then we're going to do a slight forward walk with a delay because of the throw invulnerability I just talked about. And throw them. This is completely unreactable. Right, they cannot react to the throw. So you have to try to be unpredictable. So that's basically the perfect tick throw. That's how to do it every time. So usually the safest way to avoid tick throws, to avoid throws in Guilty Gear is by jumping them. So you can either do a frame trap, so a block string with a very small gap in it that catches jump startup, so it has to be a 3-frame gap, or for some characters a 4-frame gap. Potemkin a 5-frame gap. But you can also, to jump they also have to hold an up direction, which means they're not blocking low. If they are still in block zone, they're blocking standing. So you can, well, in this case, this is the frame trap, right? You can either they're really holding jump, and in that case they would get hit crouching. But in this mission they want you to do both. They want you to do a frame trap and a low. The concept is simple though. If you condition your opponent with the thing you are doing in this mission, you basically condition them to block this delayed crouching K, or to block the delayed low. And once you have conditioned them to block that 2K, you can just do this. That's kind of the idea behind tick throws. It really is just classical conditioning, like oh, the 2K is coming, believe me, and then you throw them. So now we're gonna go into air throws. Air throws are pretty hard. They're the same as normal throws, but in most of the time it's not that important that you option select them. But you have to position yourself correctly to get the air throw. And they are a very strong tool in Guilty Gear. Very, very strong. Just like ground throws, they are instant. So they can be used as anti-airs. You can just throw people if they're in the wrong spot, like not facing you. You can just fucking throw them. and you get OK as reward. So in the hint it says the ideal position would be at a slightly lower altitude than your opponent. So now we're going to get into overhead attacks. So here it says if your opponent is following the rules of if you are crouching, low block, and if you are in the air stand block, it's going to be really hard to open up your opponent with anything but throws. So that's kind of like, Guilty Gear isn't a game where all you do is throws. There are overhead attacks. So we have standing D, 5D, which is the universal overhead. However, take note that 5D is completely reactable, unless you're like on 5-frame net play. Then it becomes a little tough to react to. You can get like a nice combo after it. I'm gonna show you a more fancier combo, but so yeah, you can get like a nice combo off of it. Sol can even get a knockdown after his 5D combo, which is very privileged, if you ask me. But at the same time, a dust attack, you can do a 5D like almost always. You have so many options to do the 5D, it's fucking ridiculous. So the idea is that you have this orange flash, and if you see the flash, you react and stand block. So she's on the ground, I have to crouch block, but she's doing an overhead with a reactable animation. So that other string that the Amelia is doing, those are 3 lows. So you have to block all 3 of these crouches. And I'm going to show you the text here real quick. So now we're going to talk about the most important usage of faultless defense. So faultless defense, by holding 2 buttons and blocking, you can generate more pushback. It has a little bit more nuance to it. I recommend you just go into the Guilty Gear crash course if you want all of the use cases for it. But the most basic use case for it is if I block this soul string, right? He's just gonna push me out, and I'm gonna block his 5H, and he has a lot of options after 5H. He can jump cancel and air dash at me, continuous block string. He can do Bandit Bringer, he can do Grand Viper, he can do whatever. And I'm gonna use faultless defense, this green block here, by blocking and holding 2 buttons. I'm gonna use it to make his 5H completely win. You saw it there, it didn't hit. So if I normal block, it hits me. And if I faultless defense, it doesn't hit at all. That's because faultless defense increases the pushback. It costs meter to use, but as soon as you see the 5H whiff, you can stun it. And Sol cannot block because he is still doing 5H. So basically you can, faultless defense is one of the most important things to use, if you ask me, because of how ridiculously strong it is, but also just necessary. So here we're going to talk about faultless defense, emergency brake, or whatever they want to call it. We just call it FD brake. I'm going to show you the text here. You can pause it if you want. So the idea here is I'm going to dash at Ino, and then after her super I'm just going to hold FD. Just look at my inputs, I'm holding FD. You cannot do this with every super, but you can do this with Ino's super. So I don't recommend dashing at people, wait and then fucking try the faultless defense after the super flash, because most supers will still hit you. Ino's super is just one of the exceptions where you can block after the super flash. Or well, you can faultless defense after the super flash. But it's just meant to show you that just like I showed you in the dash feint mission, you can stop instantly. I'll show it in something else. But now we're gonna go into another use of faultless defense, which is the block grounded attacks. Just like I mentioned in the start of the video, you cannot block grounded attacks from the air. At least not with normal block. You can, however, faultless defense the attack. So I'm gonna forward jump, and Sol's gonna do his DP. His DP is a mid attack. A mid attack means that it can be blocked both standing and crouching, but it cannot be blocked in the air. So there's there's actually 4 kinds of attack. There's low, mid, high, but there's also all guard or air block. But I guess there's 5. All guard means you can also air block it, and air block means you can also air block it, but it's possibly a high. So an all guard block, an all guard move, you can crouch, stand, and air block. And an air block high move, you can either stand block or air block, which are most air-to-air buttons. Most air-to-air buttons. And a mid attack you can only block on the ground, but both standing and crouching. And a low attack you can only crouch block. But in the air there is no high-low blocking, so you can block low, mid, and high, and whatever, and all guard. You can block every attack with faultless defense in the air. Like this. If I jump forward and I just hold back, I was holding stand block. Oh, is it a low? No, it's not a low. If I crouch block in the air, it doesn't work. I have to FD, and then I punish it. This is also why DPs are not commonly used as anti-airs. I did it too earlier. DPs are not commonly used as anti-airs because if you bait the anti-air, Soul fucking dies. That's why we have 6P and other buttons as anti-airs instead of DPs most of the time. There are still moments where a DP can be a very strong anti-air. Now we're going to talk about air recovery. So Guilty Gear is a game where you have mashed attack. I'm just going to show the text again, because I didn't know if I did it for long enough. So basically, if someone drops their air combo, so first I'm going to show you what happens if I don't do anything. So he does a combo, he does his second jump slash too late. And you can see that the combo counter, which starts out as nice orange letters, becomes gray. We call this a gray beat because it means he missed his combo. The combo is actually fake. It's not a real combo. Because if I mash really hard, I fucking hate this mission. For some reason ridiculously hard to me. You can see me not get hit by the second jump slash and recover. So this is the air recovery. Because Guilty Gear has 2 states. Either you are in a grounded state, means that when you are comboing the opponent you do not have to recover. As soon as something doesn't combo you can block it. But once you are in the air, which in this case Soul's Wild Throw throws me into the air, I'm now in an aerial state. Once I'm in the aerial state, I have to recover. Just like so. And you do this by mashing buttons. There are 3 types of recovery. You have back recovery, neutral recovery, and forward recovery. I'll show you. So you just hold the direction. This is back recovery. I'm gonna do neutral recovery. It leaves me closer to Soul. And you also have forward recovery. Now I can't do it anymore. And that just allows me to move towards my opponent and possibly attack them because they drop their combo. So this is one of the most important missions in my opinion. It's called baiting the recover, but I prefer to call it attack traps or recovery traps. So we're gonna be fighting an Axel player. Well, not just an Axel. So one of the things that Axel likes to do is he hits you, and you recover, and he fucking hits you again. And because he does a grounded normal here, you can't block it. It's ridiculous. Like he just starts a free combo because you recover. So you're mashing like your button to recover, and he fucking counter hits you or something, and he can just start a new combo for free. So to negate this, we have to do what's called attack into FD or recovery into FD. How this works is because you are scared of this grounded attack trap, you want to FD it, but trying to react to when you can recover and then FD is very hard. So instead we're going to use a simple trick. I'm going to be holding back. I'm going to be holding the S button. Well, for me it's the S button. You can FD with any of these 4 buttons. Punch, kick, slash, heavy slash, whatever. if you hold 2 out of these 4 buttons, you're gonna FD. So what I like to do is I like to hold the S button, hold back, otherwise you're not blocking, and mash the K button with my index finger. So you will see me do this. That makes tech into FD very easy. And you won't get hit by the tech back. You can also, because if you don't tech at all, he gets a knockdown. So that's not a favorable situation. There are also moments where instead of teching into FD, you can delay your tech, but as soon as you're close to the ground, I'd say tech into FD is better, unless you are scared of them air throwing you. So here we're going to come to another very important mission, Blue Burst. Because Guilty Gear is a game where characters deal huge damage, they have ridiculous block swing pressure, and you will die in like 2 to 3 hits if it weren't for Psych Burst. So once you are being comboed and you really don't want the combo, you can break the combo. Take note that it's not free, it can whiff. If you fucking mistime it, the opponent just continues their combo, or worse, starts a new one, does even more damage. So the idea is you want your opponent to be close to you. So in this time, fastest doing is going my way attack, which is a, if I let the combo continue, he's very close to me while he's hitting me with that, so I can burst it. And that way I stop him from getting damage and I return to neutral. So the burst gauge on itself is something you have to manage well. Because the burst gauge doesn't reset every round, it kind of continues. So I recommend you experiment with the burst or watch the Guilty Gear Crash Course video on bursting to get a better idea of it, but it is in mission mode pretty early on. Well, not too early on, but because this is very important. So now we're going to go on to dead angle attack. The dead angle attack is spending meter to not block. So just like you have faultless defense, which is kind of like better blocking, the dead angle is I don't want to block at all. So you have Johnny, and what you do is you have Johnny who does like a very scary setup. He sets his mist on you, which makes it so that if he does a mist finer, you get it's unblockable and you die. But the idea behind it is that during blocks then I press forward into attack buttons. And what that makes me do is it makes me do an invincible attack that pushes him out. It does no damage and you cannot combo from it. But it is very useful for stuff like this. You can block it. It is possible to block a dead angle, and they are punishable on block. But they are still a very strong tool. If you have 50 tension or more and you really do not want to hold something, you can just try to dead angle out. You have to make sure that they are close to you again, just like burst. If you are doing it when they are very far away from you, it's no use. So mission 23, we're gonna go into recovery from stagger. So some attacks, in general, attacks in Guilty Gear have nearly the same advantage on hit as they do on block. It's 1 frame more on hit of frame advantage. But stagger attacks are different. When you get staggered, an attack is way more advantage on hit than on block. But the other thing is, stagger can have different advantages based on how fast you mash. So as you can see, he gets a great beat here, but I'm not in an aerial state. I can't recover. So what do? When you are staggered, you can mash out. So I just mashed a bunch of buttons there. I just didn't mash it there. So this is kind of dangerous to mash buttons. Let's say you were mashing really hard, you can get counter hit by the 5D just like that. That's a really bad situation. Like really bad. So the trick is to hold a button down. Fuck. The trick is to hold a button down and mash the other buttons while holding back. So And just like recovery into FD, you will have stagger mash into FD. As you can see, I can freely mash and block. So we have recovery from daze. Daze is, or stun, is a little bit stronger. If you get hit too many times, especially counter hit, your character will go into a dizzy animation. And in this case, we're going to use a special super for it. In this case, you have to mash both the directions and buttons. You have to mash literally everything. Again, I'm holding the punch button while mashing. And then in this case I'm kind of doing it wrong, but the amount of angels that are around your head kind of stimulate how much stun you have left to mash out of. So if you only see like a couple angels, you have to stop mashing directions and just hold back. So here we have mission 25, and I usually call this the cutoff point. This is where beginners should try this mission and apply what we've learned in the previous missions. But the missions below mission 25 are what I prefer to call the advanced missions. So for beginner players, we have the first 25 missions. I'd prefer it if you try to get used to those concepts in matches before you go into the second half of all the mission modes. So mission 25 itself is pretty annoying, because if you stay on utter defense, Ram is just gonna run you over, so you have to at least play like a little bit of soul. Why does it start the mission instantly every time? Fucking hell. So you have to kind of actually try to play, because this fucking Ram. This mission is pretty much impossible if you don't know at least like a little bit of soul. So you might have to burst like if she hits you. So as you can see there, you have to kind of improvise based on what she does. Like, she's still an AI. Fuck. Oh crap. Oh, I just anti-aired her. So as you can see, you have to kind of improvise and use multiple things. I used burst there a couple times, I attacked, stuff like that. And all you have to do is just try to survive, because you are at very low health. So now, we're gonna go to the cutting off point. So if you are a new player, and you don't understand most of the concepts in the first half that I just explained here, especially faultless defense and recovery into FD, which I think are very important ones to start with. If you don't understand those concepts, please just go play the game, master the first, you don't have to S-rank the first 25 missions, but master the concepts taught in the first half of the missions. And once you get that, we're going to go on to the second half of the mission mode. So here we have charging moves. So we're going to be playing as Leo versus a Kai. I'm going to hold down back, which means I'm going to charge both my Sonic Boom and my Flash Kick. And if Kai goes above me, I'm going to DP anti-air. And if Kai stays in front of me, I'm going to do my Boom. Like so. So this is just kind of one of the charge techniques. By holding down back, you can do whatever. Oh, that was not supposed to happen. Okay, that was, I'm going to show the anti-air. Like so. That's how you're supposed to react to the jumps. You don't just ask boom and fucking celebrate. So I don't know why they did fucking a charge technique right there, but now we're gonna talk about Okizeme. So I have the text right here. We're gonna do some very simple Oki as Kai. So the hint here is very annoying because it's actually ridiculously important. So it teaches you to do a ground throw, and then you want to do a 5k close slash 2D to hit him on his wake up. Take note, if you stand way too close to him, he throws you. Because throws are instants, and because they beat attacks, if you are in throwing range, while an opponent is waking up, they basically get a free throw on you. Doesn't matter what attack I do. If I am in throwing range, he will throw me. Unless I'm doing an attack that's specifically throw involved. Okay, that doesn't work in this mission, but basically what it means is you have to space your 5k out of throwing range. Right, so don't run in front of them. Like in other games, if you get a knockdown, you will see players like run and then do like a button as a meaty. But in Guilty Gear that doesn't work. You can run at them, but then sooner or later you have to move back out of throwing range, because if you don't, yeah, you just get thrown. So that's something that many fighting game players have to get used to. Is the fact that really you just have to walk slightly out of throwing range and do your meaty normal. Is there anything else to this? So yeah, that's all I have to say about it. Then of course there's the reversal mission. You can reversal DP. If you don't want to take a meaty normal, so what we're gonna have happen here is we're gonna have Kai knock me down, and he's gonna do a 6H meaty. So just like in the previous mission, he's not in throwing range. I can't throw him, and he's doing a very strong buttons that's plus on block. And I also have no meter and no burst, not at all. So what can I do? I can choose not to block it by hitting him instead. Soul's Volcanic Viper is completely invincible in startup. So basically, I just fuck him up. This mission is pretty difficult to get right, because reversals are a pretty strict time. As you can see, I'm missing it a bunch of times now. That's totally fine if you can't hit the reversal window. I do have like a small trick to make it easier. Soul has a DP on both H and S, so you can blink the input. So you can kind of do like this. It just makes the window a little bit bigger. So that's the thing. So you have wake up games where you do a meaty attack, and then your opponent can choose to ignore the meaty attack by doing a reversal. There are more tricks to this. You can also do a reversal and RRC it on both hit and block, and that way you can do a reversal that is plus on block, so you can start attacking because of it, which is a pretty strong tool. And there are also DP safe setups, which we're going to come into now. So this is called safe pressure, but it's actually a safe jump. What the fuck? Why did it do it to me? My button broken? So I'm playing as Soul now, and I'm gonna jump the opponent, and Kai is either going to do nothing, or he's gonna do a reversal DP. And if you are playing your opponent, you can try to guess this every time, but you can also cover both situations, which is called a safe jump. So the idea behind the safe jump is that, just like we just did like a meaty 5k with Kai, but that loses. As you can see, he can do a reversal and my 5k gets hit. And if he doesn't do a reversal, my 5k hits him. But the problem is you have to guess there. You have to guess whether or not he's gonna do a reversal, and that's kind of high risk, high reward. So what we can do instead is we're gonna do a meaty jump in. We're gonna do jumping S, and we're gonna do it very low to the ground, like so. And we're gonna do this to hit meaty. So we're gonna knock him down and then jump at him with a specific timing, which takes a little bit of practice. And then this jumping S is going to hit him meaty. And at the same time I'm going to be down backing. So I'm going to hold 1 here, like so. So the exact motion of the safe jump is this. And if I time that meaty, I will, if he blocks or doesn't do anything, the jumping slash hits. And if he does a DP, because a DP is not instant, a DP has startup. It's like 7 frame startup or something, 5 to 7 frames. I will land, my jumping slash will whiff, I will land and block the DP. Right there. As you can see, it's not an easy technique at all. So there, he didn't do anything, and the jumping ass just hits. And then you punish the DP. What the fuck? What the fuck is wrong with this game? Jesus Christ. You gonna do it again? No. So this is a very strong technique. Consult your character Discord on when you can safe jump and which buttons to use for safe jumps. Because especially playing against like Boonga Boonga Souls or fucking Netplay Kais or whatever who are trying to DP on every wake up, safe jumping is really important. I don't think the mission for safe jumps explains it well, which is why I went into so much depth explaining it here. So now we have backstepping or backdashing. This mission is just trying to showcase you that backdashes have invulnerability on startup. They are invincible frame 1, so you can use them as a reversal. For example, let's see if I can do this. I hit reversal backstep, by the way. Maybe, you know what? I think it doesn't allow you to backdash. Anyway, they are. You can use a backdash as a reversal. You can do it in neutral to dodge attacks. Oops. As you can see, it can legit just dodge attacks. I suck at this mission. I suck at it real bad. The concept is simple. The invincibility starts instantly, but it does have recovery frames. You can be hit out of your backstab. Just like a DP, there's invincible startup, and then there's hittable recovery. However, catching a backdash is more complicated and just a lot harder in general than fucking just blocking a DP. So now we're gonna go into the throw class mission. I fucking hate this mission because here's the thing. In Guilty Gear, I told people, I told you guys, you usually avoid throws by jumping. That's the safest way to do it. You can also backdash throws because backdashes are are fully invincible, so also throw invincible. But if you and your opponent are trying to throw each other at the exact same time, you have a throw clash. And the reason I'm calling it a throw clash and not a throw tech is because in Street Fighter, when you expect a throw, you also throw, so that both of you, so you get a throw tech, and that way you kind of move away from each other and one player ends with an advantage. But in Guild, and you have like a tech window which can be 10 to 15 frames, so pretty large window. You just hit throw in that window and you won't get thrown. Problem is, in Guilty Gear this window is 2 frames, which is ridiculously small. The idea behind this is that you only really get a throw clash if both of you try to throw each other, and not really that you throw tech on reaction or throw tech because you expected a throw. So this mission is just ridiculously hard because of the 2 frame window, and that is a throw clash. A throw clash will put both players in a neutral situation. It's just something that kind of happens. Sometimes you just try to throw people, and instead of the throw, you see the clash. And just know that it will put you at a specific distance, and both of you are at the same frame advantage. This mission is really difficult. Trying to S rank it is just painful. So now we're going to go into Blitz Shield. If you want more specific details on how Blitz Shield works, just go into the Guilty Gear Crash Course. I'm just gonna talk about the mission here, because Blitz is pretty complex. Blitz is pretty complex. Fucking hell. I hate this timer. So if you tap the Blitz button, you get a Blitz Shield, and you can just kind of Alright, now it's happy about my damage. Anyway, what you can do in neutral is just, if you expect an attack and you can just parry it. Yeah, to do the RC. It spends 25 meters for a little shield. The parry can however be reflected, so if you can react to them blitzing you and blitz them back. However, the mind game that results from blitzing is ridiculously complex. So yeah, that's why I recommend the Guilty Gear Crash Course video instead of these missions. I'm just going to show you how to pass the missions. So now what's going to happen is we're going to play versus a Sin. The Sin is going to jump and he's going to do either a low or an overhead. So low attacks can only be low blitzed and overheads can be high blitzed. Well, low attacks can be low blitzed or air blitzed, but you don't really air blitz low attacks most of the time. And the high he's going to do can only be stand blitzed or air blitzed. However, you can charge a blitz shield to do some kind of attack, right? Which is called blitz attack. The thing about it is, if you are charging blitz shield, there is a moment where you are reflecting more than just the blitz shield you started with. So low blitz, only reflecting low attacks. Doesn't matter, if you hold it, at some point it will reflect high attacks as well. So it is kind of annoying. So the trick is to do a low blitz at a specific timing while holding it and react to reflecting and then letting it go. I fucking hate this machine. There. That's the timing you want. As you can see, I did a low blitz, which is not supposed to reflect the high attack, but because I was holding it at a specific timing, it can still reflect the high attack. So you then release the button as soon as you notice you reflected him, and then you get your reward. So here we're gonna show what happens when you blitz shield a projectile at long range. If you blitz shield a projectile at long range, the opponent will not get into the rejected effect, but the projectile won't hit you. This is a very weird mission. You have to blitz shield it 4 times, and the 4th time you have to hold it. And as you can see, during his last attack he IEDs in, and because of that the rejected effect works. Anyway, this is in general very dumb, and then you can hit him. It's just to showcase that if he's very far from you, you can ignore the projectile's effects by blitz shielding it, and you will get some invincibility frames and whatever. You can escape setups like this, but it only affects the opponent if they are close to you. We're gonna reinforce that idea here. Milia is gonna do her projectile Oki, and we're gonna blitz it. And because she's gonna be very close to us, she's gonna be effective. I can suck at this one. Of course, I didn't even do it once. That's the idea. So she didn't attack me. She's just rolling. She's not doing any attack. The only thing that's hitting me is the projectile. But because she is close to me, I can hit her with blitz. The timing is pretty tight, but you can get used to it. So now we're gonna go into crouch specific combos, right? So in Guilty Gear, like I just mentioned, the frame advantage on block and on hit is nearly the same. If you hit someone who is on the ground, it will only do 1 frame more hit stun than it does block stun, right? If you hit them crouching, however, it will do 1 frame extra. So you can add, so it's gonna do 2 frame more hit stun than block stun. The nice thing about that is that if you have something that only combos on crouching, so in Kai's we have /3H. His /3H only combos on a crouching opponent. But that also means that that means that it will also have a universal, that means that it will also have a 2-frame gap on block. So that's something you can think about, like, oh, this only combos on crouching, so it will have a 2-frame block window, 2-frame gap on block. You can kind of cheese this mission by just doing the dash 6H //3H, by the way. Right, but you can also show, I can also show you that it doesn't combo on standing. As you can see, it wasn't a 2-hit combo there, but if I do it on crouching, it is a 2-hit combo. So as the combo counter went up, it just comboed. Or you just show it like this, 2-hit, and no combo counter. And that is because of this 1-frame extra hit stun. So it is, you have to do the Gatling as fast as possible. Alright, so we're gonna go to comboing with a Roman cancel. I'm gonna show you the text here. So just like in the tutorial, you can extend a combo easily by just going for a simple Roman cancel. So I'm gonna show you with Baiting. Mid screen, if you get like 2H Tatami, this is all you get. It's still enough damage wise, but like 4-hit combo, you get a bit of Oki, but you can also just crank the damage. Like so. That did a lot more damage, which is nice. This can help you kill the opponent most of the time. It is very meter hungry, it's half your meter still, which is pretty expensive. However, I want to talk about the Roman cancel a little bit. So what it does is it slows down the opponent and it extends their hit stun. So the nice thing about it is that it allows, so if I do like this doesn't combo at all. But because I do two things, I have no recovery frames because of the Roman cancel, and it slows them down. So it really allows for ridiculously freeform combos, right? So there's one downside to this. This slowdown makes the combo do less damage. Otherwise, it will be too powerful. However, if you know what you're doing, you can make the slowdown end and then continue the combo, which is a way to get more damage. So I'm gonna do the same combo twice, but one is gonna do more damage because I'm gonna delay the hit after the slowdown. So as you can see, that did about this much damage. Now I'm gonna try and do the frame kill version. Oh, I fucked it up. Hang on. So this is the low damage version, which is still 60% damage. Oh, damn it. And this is more damage, as you can see. This did a little bit more damage, which is a little trick you can use to crank the damage. However, this is really character specific, so you need to ask your character Discord, like, what are common RRC frame kill combos? That's how I call them, at least. It just means you let the slowdown end, so you don't get the extra scaling in the combo. You get more damage. Alright, so now I'm going to talk about risk. So one of the things that FD does is it prevents you from building risk. What risk is that little, Potemkin here is blocking, so it is that little bar under his health that's filling up now as he's blocking my attacks. If you are normal blocking or instant blocking, this bar will rise, right? You can see it right there. So what it does theoretically is when I now hit Potemkin, if I manage to open him up, he doesn't block something. Combo scaling doesn't start. So basically, normally once you do a combo, each hit will do less and less damage. Because otherwise, if you get full damage from every hit you do in a combo, you would kill everyone in one hit. But the risk gauge prevents that from happening until the risk gauge is empty. So that sounds a little bit complex, but in general it means that if opponent has a full risk gauge, they will die in one hit. Or if they have a little bit of risk, your combo will do much more damage. Because yeah, that's how it works in practice. But also, if the opponent's risk gauge is above 50%, even if they are not pressing a button or whatever, if you hit them, you will counter hit them. So you can do like combos with multiple counter hits in succession if their risk is full, which is ridiculous, and it will also deal huge damage. So very, very fun mechanic, if you ask me. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna crank Potemkin's risk gauge by just doing a couple 6Ks. And I'm gonna do 2H starter. And as you can see, I got 4 counter hits in a row. Whoops, I did burst super and I didn't have burst. So he's at full risk gauge now. Alright, he is now. Counter, counter, pick up in a combo. Oops. Look at how much damage I can deal with this. This is like a ridiculously simple combo. But that's the idea behind it. It's just that it's fucking ridiculous. Just the sheer amount of combos you can get. You can do really crazy stuff with it if you want. As you can see, that would not combo normally at all. That was just, I was only able to do that because of all the shit that countered. And then you can maybe like extend the combo just for fun. Oh. Anyway, the idea is clear. Risk will, if you let your risk build too much and you get hit, you will fucking die unless you burst. That's how simple it is. If your opponent knows what they're doing, at least. You have to confirm into the combo. Alright, so this is a pretty difficult mission. It's called Baiting Recovery into Air Throw. So we talked about attacking into FD to bait with like grounded to block grounded tech traps, and will also block aerial tech traps. But there is another thing. If just like conditioning the opponent to block, you can throw them, like we talked about in tick throws. You can also do this with air recovery. The mission to do this is fucking weird. They could have done something way easier if you ask me. But it's what we have. So if you condition people to tech, you can attack at a specific timing, or if they happen to have a habit of teching at a specific timing, you could air throw it. It's a little bit tough to get used to. So what we're doing here is we're doing an OTG. I knock them down. And when you are knocked down, there's a short window which is called where the opponent is in a OTG state, which means you can hit them, but they can tech. And the Kai techs, and I then throw the tech window. Missed it there. You can also do this like mid combo. You just drop your combo and fucking air throw their recovery. Pretty. Both air throwing techs and avoiding people air throwing your techs are pretty advanced techniques, if you ask me. It takes a lot of time, and don't be afraid to just ask questions like, oh, this player kept air throwing my recoveries, how do I avoid this? And then record the match where it happened, show it to people, and discuss it, because it's a very powerful technique, and if you don't know what you're doing, you could easily just get stunned getting air throwed 4 times every round. Alright, so we're going to talk about the other kind of burst, which is gold burst. This is also covered in the Guilty Gear Crash Course burst video, which I recommend you watch because I think it's a good video about bursting. So what we're gonna do here is we're gonna see Soul do an attack which is called Bad Hit Bringer. and we're gonna gold burst it on reaction. If you burst too early, you'll get a blue burst, which is pretty shitty. But if you burst when you are not in block stun, or not in hit stun, so when you burst when you're in neutral, you get a gold burst. A gold burst cannot be punished on block, because you are unlike a blue burst, you are invincible when you are descending. There are some mind games there, but it's mostly safe. If your gold burst is thrown or blocked, you will still get a third of your burst gauge back, unlike blue burst where you don't get as much back, etc. All of this covered in the all of this is covered in the Guilty Gear Crash Course video, but the biggest use for gold burst is to just get fucking 100 tension instantly. Now we're gonna be talking about burst baiting. Oh well. Now we're gonna be talking about countering golden bursts. So the opponent is gonna do a reversal gold burst. However, if you burst when you are knocked down, you will get a blue burst. So there is a 1 frame window where you can reversal gold burst. In this mission, Kai can do this reliably, but because it's a computer. But you will often find that if you throw someone, as you can see here, if you throw someone, you cannot burst. But also, you cannot burst after getting knocked down. So now he's knocked down, he still can't burst. As you can see, there's still a cross on his burst. But what this means is if you are thrown, you can mash burst. So if you are thrown, or if someone ended a combo in a super, so basically, that basically makes it so that bursting is impossible until you are back to neutral. So you can mash burst and pretty reliably reversal gold burst. So what you will see often is like you do a throw and then you try to do OP and then they gold burst or something like that. That's something you will actually see in matches. But something else you might see in matches is ridiculous. Is you throw them and then you throw that gold burst. What the fuck? Why does the game do this? Like, I tried to E.brake, but it didn't give me any meter. You can. Fuck. This is what the fuck? Why did you do 6 inch? You can throw the gold burst. So, what I would consider to be a realistic situation is you throw them, and you what the fuck? Is you throw them, and you call out the gold burst like this. And people love this. This is fucking hype. What the fuck, Soul? But yeah, if you manage to do this in a match, you are just fucking. You just call them out so hard. You should just it's good shit. So while the mission here makes it look like doing a reversal gold burst is simple, it's actually really hard unless the opponent ended a combo in a super or a throw. So basically, if you throw someone and they have burst and like low health, it might be a good idea to go for an air to try and air throw their burst just because of how fucking hype it is. So just do it. Countering blue psych bursts. So, like I said, blue bursts can whiff or they can be blocked. You can hard bait them or you can option select them. It really depends on your character. In general, with Baiting, you can, for example, fucking hard bait them by just Suzeraning mid combo and then punishing it. So, if you watch the Guilty Gear Crash Course burst video, which you should in my opinion, you will see that the burst is blocked, his burst gauge is now empty, and I get a combo, because on the way down he is vulnerable. Unlike a gold burst, you are invulnerable once the burst whiffs or is blocked or hits or whatever. In a blue burst, it can be punished. And there are a lot of ways. You can throw them, which doesn't give you a lot of reward, but again, it's hype as fuck if you air throw them. you can just make them whiff straight up. Do I have any way to make it whiff? I don't think I have. Yeah, that's not really practical, but you can indeed make it whiff. You don't have to block it, but ideally, if you really hard bait it, you forward jump and instant block it. Fuck. I'm messing up real bad. The fuck? Come on. They are pretty slow, so... So yeah, that's ideal. Like forward jump and instant block it, but it requires you know the timing. You can also just, yeah, like hard bait it with an attack like this. Well, actually Baiting is the only one with an attack like Sudaran, but I mean... Just dropping your combo intentionally to make the burst whiff or to block the burst, especially with jump cancels, is very common. I think you can also do like something ridiculously stupid like this. Like you do an attack with a very... What I'm doing here is an attack with a very disjointed hurt box, so that the burst straight up whiffs and the attack hits him. Like this is ridiculously mean if you do something like that. This is a hard ass spell art. Like this wouldn't even get close to hitting him if he had just done nothing. But there's a lot of ways to bait bursts. It's pretty hard in practice, but you will learn it in time. And of course you can ask your character Discord for burst save combos, for common burst points, whatever. So just like I talked about with the gold burst with the gold burst mission, some moves cannot be bursted. This includes supers. Supers cannot be bursted. As you can see, there's an X on the burst as soon as I hit him. Throws cannot be bursted. Command throws. So like super RC, throw RC into super is completely burst safe, for example. Super RC. Then but as soon as you hit them with something that's not a throw or a super, they will be able to burst again, just like I showed here. If you throw RC and then Bandit Bringer, they can burst the Bandit Bringer. You also cannot burst instant kills, because they kill you instantly, so that makes sense. Ideally, I think the easiest thing to do here is just fucking... I believe burst super works too. But it's basically just trying to teach you the idea of, oh, these things cannot be bursted. So sometimes you just try and end a match with like only throws and supers, just to make sure they don't burst. Or they are at like low health and they didn't burst yet, so you just burst super and you kill them. It's something you can do to try and keep them from using their burst. So here we're talking about throw option select. I already mentioned throw option select, which can be used for forward throws. But what they're doing here is actually a way more advanced technique. So I want to showcase what Sol is doing here. He goes for a knockdown and then he goes for a safe jump, right? So what he does there is a safe jump. Or at least it looks like a safe jump. It is actual safe jump timing, right? But instead of doing this meaty jump in attack, where he would block the DP or whatever, he does an empty low, or he does a late air dash, which is an unreactable mix-up. You have to guess high or low. But because in Guilty Gear you have both very strong anti-airs and instant throws, you can wake up with what we call 6p plus HOS. Like most characters with like a decent 6p, or like a proper anti-air 6p, can wake up with this. Because if someone does a safe jump, if someone fakes a safe jump, and instead goes for an empty low or a late air dash, which is what Sol is doing here, you can wake up mashing 6p plus H, and if you do it correctly, if you hit the reversal window, you will throw him trying to empty low you,
and you will 6p him trying to air dash. I suck at this though, especially with Kai. Fucking hell, I hate this mission. What the fuck? How did he counter hit me? Oh, I hate this mission so much. As you can see there, because there's a way for Soul to do this mix-up, and 6ph doesn't work. But that means that his air dash normal or his low has to be meaty. In this case, only his low is meaty and his air dash normal hits way later than meaty, which is why the OS works. So the rule of thumb is that if he does a safe jump timing forward jump at you, you can do 6ph. It loses to an actual safe jump, but it beats this mix-up. If he does a forward jump at you before the safe jump, so it's too early to be a safe jump, there's a chance that his air dash will beat 6p plus 8. This is what I'm talking about right now is pretty advanced, but in general, yeah, if people fake a safe jump, then yeah, the most important rule of thumb for intermediate players if someone seems to be doing a safe jump and then starts doing mix-ups instead of the safe jump, you can wake up 6p plus 8 to cover both options. It takes a lot of practice though. I want to get an image of the throw. I want to get like at least one throw. For fuck's sake. For fuck's sake. I'm mashing 6ph and I keep getting counter hit. Stop doing the high, start doing the low. And stop counter hitting me. I'm trying to do 6ph. There we go. Yeah. So you will sometimes see this at high level play. So an opponent will like do a safe jump and instead land, and you will see the other guy forward throwing them. Especially if you, I think I've seen Teresa do this a lot, where Teresa was with his back in the corner. He was literally in the corner and he forward threw them. So you might think like, oh, why did he do a forward throw? Because you want to throw them towards the corner, right? Well, the reason he did a forward throw is because he was option selecting with 6p plus h, covering a possible late air dash. If he was mashing back throw, he would have gotten counter hit and he would have died. Which is why you will sometimes see people forward throwing at a moment where you think a backwards throw would have been more effective. They're doing this 6p plus h option select. So that's a very important. In my opinion, this is the most difficult mission in the game. I hate that mission. I don't know why, but I can never do it. So for some reason, they're talking about instant air dash in mission 45. I showed the text a little bit. It's literally just a fucking motion. So it's just 956 really. I fuck it up sometimes because I'm used to Baiting's air dash, which is way faster than Soul's. Fucking hell. So yeah, you just kind of learn this. You know you did it right if you see him rising during air dash startup. Like, that may be a weird way to explain it, but air dashes have a minimum height restriction. So if you see that the minimum height restriction activated, you know you did it as fast as possible. So now we're gonna talk about whiff punishes. Damn, it's still 1.5 hour stream. Well, stream, recording. What we're gonna do here is we're gonna make Kai whiff his far slash and punish with far slash. So this is a pretty annoying mission if you ask me. So because his hurt box extends, you can kind of hit it. It's weird. You don't see this very often, honestly, but it is a thing that can happen. With Soul, I also recommend, like, if you do a whiff punish far slash like this, you Gatling into 2S, but for some reason my inputs are instantly shut down the moment I hit him, so I can't even Gatling into 2S. Just know that you can see me on, you can't even see it on the input menu, Jesus. I just want to do 2S. But you can see it on the virtual stick at least. At a moment like this, you whiff a 2S after, because it's better in general, if you ask me, because you retract your hurt box. So now we're gonna go to counter hit confirms. So Soul has his 6H. 6 is a very strong button. On normal hit, it's pretty bad. On counter hit, however, it's huge damage. So one thing you have to learn with Soul, for example, is when you do 6H, is when you counter hit like that, you get normal hit, guy. What the fuck was that? If he normal hits, he just crouches, which you don't get a lot of that. He counter hits, however. You can combo into Bringer for fucking huge damage. Alright, so for some reason it presses the button I was holding. So the thing is, in Guilty Gear, counter hits do not deal more damage than normal hits. They deal the exact same amount of damage. The difference is that a counter hit allows for a stronger combo, which is why you will see counter hit combos, when properly confirmed, deal way more damage than normal hit combos in some cases. With Soul, if you get like normal hit 6H, you get nothing. Sometimes you can even get punished on hit. You hit your opponent and they still punish you. It can happen. And when you fucking counter hit them, you deal 70% damage. So that's it. But you have to confirm it to the bringer. So you have to recognize the counter hit and do the combo that deals that amount of damage. Alright, so countering air throws is what this mission is called. I prefer to call this mission calling out a bad save jump, which is actually what it's about. So what Soul is gonna do is he's gonna do a knockdown, right? He's gonna give it a knockdown, and he's gonna do a save jump. It looks like a save jump. The problem is I'm gonna hold up back, and you will see me jump. Right? I jump and blocked it, which means it wasn't meaty at all. It was very, very late. If you recognize that a save jump is very late, you can fucking air throw them. So you see, like, he does bringer, and then he waited a bit. If he wanted to do a proper save jump after Bandit Revolver, he had to pretty much jump instantly, but he kind of had doubts there, and because I recognized that his save jump is late, I can just air throw. This takes a lot of practice, by the way, but at high level play, if you see someone mess up a setup like this, you just fucking air throw them for it. Alright, so mission 49, talking about IB. They also, what I like about this mission is they show something very common. So what Kai is going to do is, he's going to do a late air dash jump, S jump H. That's something Kai often does for his mix-ups. Like if you're in the corner, he can like set a grinder on top of you, wire C, forward jump, and then he can go for that empty low late air dash mix-ups that we talked about in the 6B plus H OS. But because there's a projectile on top of you, you cannot do 6B plus H, so you're forced to block it. But what Kai often does is he does the jump S, jump H Gatling in the air. If you instant block the jump H, you can throw him, which is a pretty important technique. So I recommend practicing it on this mission. It is pretty nice. I'm not good at it at all, but it is something to try. regarding the specific uses for IB, I once again gonna point you towards the Guilty Gear Crash Course video on IB because it goes into much more detail. Alright, so mission number 15, Fuzzy Guard or Fuzzy Block. This is about covering chains with either high or low, but you kind of block standing and crouching on a specific timing. And the reason you do this is to cover both options. So what Milia is going to do here is she's going to do one chain which consists mostly of lows and mids. So the lows you have to block crouching, and the mids you can block either crouching or standing. And there's another chain she can do which involves her doing her 6K. Her 6K is like a 21 frame overhead. It is reactable, but it is very difficult to react to. So what we're going to do instead is we're going to do a specific timing of block low, block high, block low, and we're going to cover both options. So we're going to see in her low option she's going to do close slash, which is a mid, so we're going to try and block the close slash standing, and at the same time she's going to do her 6K. So this time she did the high option twice. That's the low option. High option. High option. Low option. Low option. Low option again. Low option. Low option. Yeah. So that was just a specific timing, and it takes practice, and how practical it is versus any opponent depends a lot. But like versus Jam, for example, techniques like this are very important. If you see her do her command dash forward, you have to block low for a couple frames. Or well, you have to block low for a little bit and then block standing, because she can do like a very powerful overhead after, but the overhead is generally slower. She can delay her low option, but her low does not deal a lot of damage. So kind of, it's very character specific as to where you can use Fuzzy Guard. It requires a lot of knowledge of the matchup and the risk reward that the opponent gets for the possible options they have. But it is a pretty important technique, because offense in this game is so ridiculous that if you don't use Fuzzy Guard techniques, you might as well just unplug your controller sometimes. Alright, so mission number 51, we're almost done. Gonna talk about jump install, which is a bug that was discovered in one of the older games, and they kept it in because it allows for interesting combos. So I talked about how in the tutorial, if you high jump, you cannot double jump. However, what jump install allows you to do is it does allow you to double jump after a high jump. How this works is I'm gonna do a standing H, a 5H. Then I'm gonna double jump install it, but I'm gonna do a 2H normal. So the game kind of remembers like I was trying to jump, but instead I'm not gonna jump at all. I'm gonna do another normal, and then I'm gonna high jump cancel the second normal, and then I can suddenly double jump. It's fucking weird. I missed it. As you can see there. Fucking hell, this game. It's a little bit annoying. It's just something weird to try out. Some characters like Soul or Faust, I believe, can use this to like get a tiny bit more damage out of their combos. For characters like Chip, I'd say it's vital. But for most characters, jump installs are not necessary. So lastly, we're going to talk about comboing the instant kills. I have here in the middle of the screen, you have the ways you get to an instant kill. So if you go into instant kill mode, you have red instant kill. This move is really slow. Like a really slow move. But if you like deal a little bit of damage, if your opponent is like it says, if you are at match point, you are at 50% tension or more, and your opponent's health is flashing. So that means that they are either below 20% HP and you are in neutral, or they started above 20% HP and you combo them down to 10% or lower, and then their health will start flashing. It's a little bit annoying to know when exactly their opponent's health is flashing. We also call that Hellfire, it means your opponent is in Hellfire. It's a little bit annoying to know when that happens, but it does allow you to combo into your instant kill, because it will make your instant kill a lot faster. Red instant kill is basically so slow that it's nearly impossible to combo into it. It is possible if you manage to catch a soul doing dragon install, for example, which is an advanced technique. I just want to mention it. If you have any question about that technique, just hit me up and I'll show you. However, gold instant kill basically just means you fucking kill your opponent instantly. So I'm gonna do a simple, a sort of simple Potemkin combo. I'm gonna get him down to below 10% health, and then I'm just gonna RC instant kill. There are multiple ways to do this. Characters like Soul can just do Fafnir instant kill, I believe. But you have to get him into the Hellfire state first, either by bringing him down to 20% and starting a combo, or by bringing him down to 10% or lower during a combo, which is what we have to do this time. So now his health is flashing. That's how it works. And that's mission mode. Now, if you have any questions, feel free to hit me up. Yeah, and that's that should be most of the tutorial. Just ask any questions in the comments, and maybe check the comments if your question's already been answered.